That was a video of a single-celled organism dying. The evolutionary narrative is that we all evolved out of these single-celled beings. But imagine the probability of this. So the narrative says that we started off in the sea as single-celled organisms, then we transitioned from bacteria to fish, from fish to amphibians, amphibians to reptiles, reptiles to mammals, then from monkeys into humans. But evolution always skips over the hardest questions. Why would an asexual creature divide itself into dual sexes? Or did a creature suddenly evolve a penis one day and then another a vagina, and then they somehow worked out how to have intercourse? How did something as complex as the eye develop over countless species? You cannot have like a half-developed eye that cannot see. It is common sense that if you take a fish out of water, it will suffocate. Evolutionary theory just dismisses this with the notion of millions of years. It takes millions of years, a timeline that they know is unobservable.
It's okay, fish. It's okay. I worry. It's okay. It's okay, fish. It's okay, fish. It's okay.
It's okay, fish. It's alright, mate. You're gonna evolve. Microevolution is small changes in a species over a period of time. An example of this is how certain bacteria developed resistance to penicillin and eventually even managing to multiply in its presence. Thus, the bacteria had changed its makeup, having evolved. The most famous example of microevolution is the changes in finches' beaks on the Galapagos Islands. This observation helped Charles Darwin develop his ideas of evolution through natural selection. Finches had evolved over many generations to best suit their island, and the poorer suited ones were not selected as mates and thus died off. But this is just microevolution and not macroevolution. Just because a beak can change doesn't prove interconnection between species. Macroevolution is the evolution of groups outside of their own species. Transition from water to land being an example and the very foundation of evolutionary theory. Because evolutionists say that macroevolution takes place over millions of years, it cannot be observed. But the most obvious question here is, wouldn't the species in existence today still be in transition? Why has evolution come to an apparent stop? There is no evidence for this, and fossils that they have submitted in the past have been proven to be false claims. Piltdown Man is one example of scientists falsifying evidence. So just to recap, this is microevolution, the domestic cat and the lion having a common ancestor. A macroevolution chart looks like this and doesn't resemble reality basically. Scientists stand firm that all life comes from a single-celled organism, which is asexual. Having two sexes now creates a problem in the theory of evolution. The reproductive organs of males and females are meant for each other. And as far as we know, there has never been an androgynous being that was able to self-replicate. So this means that males and females had to evolve codependent on one another. Think about the video at the beginning of the cell dying in the petri dish. What would be the chances of these cells evolving together, two of them, in order to reproduce only one offspring? Most of the time at a time. I know about twins, but it's usually one. Thinking about the complex design of the reproductive organs, how can a half-formed womb carry a baby? When did women stop laying eggs? Like, when did it become beneficial to start carrying your infant inside you? Like, if I was an androgynous being and I can self-replicate, why would I stop this? If you think about half-formed genitals trying to reproduce, it just doesn't make any sense. There are 4 accepted laws of thermodynamics. These laws are applicable to all fields of science. The second law of thermodynamics states that entropy increases over time. In nature, we observe that molecules gravitate towards disorder. An example of this would be gas particles in a container. The dispersed particles show how over time they became more disordered. So how can destruction, i.e. the Big Bang, create highly organized structures? The theory of evolution violates science by disregarding the second law of thermodynamics when they say that amino acids somehow came together. But it's over millions of years. So you see how everything just gets dismissed with this unobservable timeline. Humans are 99% identical to apes. I'm sure you've all heard this before. But we are also 60% identical to a banana and 80% a dog. In order to get this statistic, scientists excluded genetic sequences with huge amounts of data contained twice in the human genome but only once in the ape genome. Identical sequences in different places. Identical sequences in reverse order. A sequence in human DNA that is broken into pieces and occurring in different areas of apes' DNA. So they excluded 18% of apes' genome and 25% of ours in order to get their 99% statistic. I know it's unbelievable that scientists would falsify data, but this brings me to my next point. We believe that our educational system is the most advanced for unbiased knowledge when truly it is a pseudoscientific religion disguised as science. When we go to the museum, we think we are looking at real bones. When we read the text next to the display, we can see that most of these bones are reconstructed from 3D scans of the real bones. Now here's the problem. If you have a museum full of wax models and reconstructed plaster skeletons, how can the observer prove the science? Dinosaurs never existed because we have not seen real dinosaur bones. Do you know what's funny about an archaeologist is that you would think an archaeologist would make a discovery and not an invention. So we see on this display, Richard Owen, the man who invented dinosaurs. Like, they falsify dinosaur finds in order to back up their evolutionary narrative. It's a hard pill to swallow, I know, but if you don't believe me, go to the museum, look at all of the bones yourself and ask yourself, are plaster skeletons and wax models science? Say if you was to go to a creationist museum and you saw how a creationist museum would be, like Adam and Eve, blah, 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 you would laugh your head off as an atheist because you wouldn't accept that as science. So why would you accept it as science in your museums? Today, the theory of evolution is widely accepted by scientists. So this just misleads you because you think that the authority is trustworthy enough to assign experts and they're never wrong, like they wouldn't lie to you. But then it says, examine the specimens and support or counter the theory. If you counter the theory of evolution, most people will say you don't believe in evolution. It is laughable to even bring the word believe into a scientific argument. Really, everything should be observable and measurable. That is the scientific method. A simple Google search of the word dinosaur should show archaeological digs, right? Shouldn't it? Not a bunch of cartoons. Evolution is just another lie of the system, designed to make you think that you're nothing but stardust, which happened into existence over trillions of years. They hide the true story, one example being giant human skeletons, because it defines the narrative of what you believe and funnels you in a certain direction. They teach us from young that it all started with a Big Bang, and over a ridiculous amount of unforeseeable time, planets had evolved and life had taken form. You were basically farted into existence, is what they want you to believe.
Oh, wait, here comes another one. Quick, give me your lighter.
And that the earth is round and you're spinning as a result of this Big Bang. The earth isn't flat like our eyes and senses tell us. People who believe this are dumb. And this was definitely ingrained into me when I was young, because I still have the book from the science lessons. 2001, I was 10 years old.
Here's one way to draw a really perfect spiral. Start with one square and draw another next to it that is the same height. Make the next square fit next to both together, that is, each side is length 2. The next square has length 3. The entire outside shape will always be a rectangle. Keep spiraling around, adding bigger and bigger squares. This one has side length 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, and now 21. Once you do that, you can add a curve going through each square, arcing from one corner to the opposite corner. Resist the urge to zip quickly across the diagonal if you want a nice smooth spiral. Have you ever looked at the spirally pattern on a pine cone and thought, hey, sure are spirals on this pine cone? I don't know why there's pine cones in your greenhouse. Maybe the greenhouse is in a forest. Anyway, there's spirals, and there's not just one either. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 going this way, or you could look at the spirals going the other way, and there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Look familiar? 8 and 13 are both numbers in the Fibonacci series. That's the one where you start by adding 1 and 1 to get 2, then 1 and 2 to get 3, 2 and 3 to get 5, 3 plus 5 is 8, 5 plus 8 is 13, and so on. Some people think that instead of starting with 1 plus 1, you should start with 0 and 1. 0 plus 1 is 1, 1 plus 1 is 2, 1 plus 2 is 3, and it continues on the same way as starting with 1 and 1. Or I guess you could start with 1 plus 0, and that would work too. Or why not go back one more to -1, and so on. Anyway, if you're into the Fibonacci series, you probably have a bunch memorized. I mean, you've gotta know 1, 1, 2, 3, 5. Finish off the single digits with 8, and ooh, 13, how spooky. And once you're memorizing double digits, you might as well know 21, 34, 55, 89, so that whenever someone turns a Fibonacci number, you can say, happy Fib birthday. And then, isn't it interesting that 144, 233, 377, but 610 breaks that pattern, so you'd better know that one too. And oh my goodness, 987 is a neat number, and well, you see how these things get out of hand. Anyway, 'tis a season for decorative scented pine cones, and if you're putting glitter glue spirals on your pine cones, during math class, you might notice that the number of spirals are 5 and 8, or 3 and 5, or 3 and 5 again, 5 and 8. This one was 8 and 13, and one Fibonacci pine cone is one thing, but all of them? What is up with that? This pine cone has this wumpy, weird part. Maybe that messes it up. Let's count the top. 5 and 8. Now let's check out the bottom. 8 and 13. If you wanted to draw a mathematically realistic pine cone, you might start by drawing 5 spirals one way and 8 going the other. I'm going to mark out starting and ending points for my spirals first as a guide, and then draw the arms, 8 one way and 5 the other. Now I can fill in the little pine coney things. So there's Fibonacci numbers in pine cones, but are there Fibonacci numbers in other things that start with pine? Let's count the spirals on this thing. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. The leaves are hard to keep track of, but they're in spirals too, of Fibonacci numbers. What if we looked at these really tight spirals going almost straight up? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. A Fibonacci number. Can we find a third spiral on this pine cone? Sure, go down like this. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. But that's only a couple examples. How about this thing I found on the side of the road? I don't know what it is. It probably starts with pine, though. 5 and 8. Let's see how far the conspiracy goes. What else has spirals in it? This artichoke is 5 and 8. So does this artichoke-looking flower thing. And this cactus fruit does too. Here's an orange cauliflower with 5 and 8, and a green one with 5 and 8. I mean, 5 and 8. It's actually 5 and 8. Maybe plants just like these numbers, though. Doesn't mean it has anything to do with Fibonacci, does it? So let's go for some higher numbers. We're gonna need some flowers. I think this is a flower. It's got 13 and 21. These daisies are hard to count, but they have 21 and 34. Now let's bring in the big guns. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 17, 20, 24, 42, 53, 54, 55. I promise this is a random flower and I didn't pick it out specially to trick you into thinking there's Fibonacci numbers and things, but you should really count for yourself next time you see something spirally.
There's quite a few agendas at play here. The main agenda is to hide God, the creator. Once you come to the understanding that we live in the third dimension, a plane, with a code and DNA sequences that run all the way through it, this opens your eyes to the creation, and a code must be written, so it is created and has a creator. Another agenda is the transhumanist agenda, merging man and machine. People who accept the doctrine will be willing to advance themselves like this because they believe that it is natural. This agenda is nothing new and actually existed in the days of Noah. This is what they want to bring back. It's old technology, not new. They want to mark you in the name of the beast so that your soul cannot be saved. Also the white superiority agenda, please let me explain. You'll see Cheddar Man, and they'll say that 10,000 years ago, British people were black. But is this, if you're a white British guy looking now, Is this truly granddad? No. You know that 2 white people create a white baby and 2 black people create a black baby. That's just the way it goes. So the narrative goes that you evolved from single-celled organisms all the way through to mammals. And then the mammals transitioned into black people and black people transitioned into white people. That is how the narrative goes. If you believe in evolution, you believe that black people are at a lesser stage in evolution than white people. That's just how it is. Ota Benga was held on display at the Bronx Zoo as the missing link between animal and man. This is the true doctrine which tortured and enslaved, not Christianity. Slave owners in the Caribbean wrote to Queen Elizabeth imploring her to stop allowing Christian preachers to come over. Which teaching do you think would give somebody a superiority complex? One that says you're the pinnacle of evolution, or one that says you have to love one another like I have loved you? So overall, evolution is a bunk theory. The probability of single-celled organisms evolving into dinosaurs, being wiped out, and then repeating the process to get what we have today is just a joke. This is a truth that I learned which helped me on my journey towards Christ, and I hope it opens your mind to the Creator as well. I thank you for watching.